Hello, this is Jack Harvey at Texas Safari, and I'm here with a guest today who knows a whole lot more about giraffes and elephants than I do, and that's Kari Morfeld. Kari is a specialist that we work with, and she can tell you a little bit of what she does and what it's about, but she's here to tell us about our little friend here. And let's walk over to our little friend here. And this is our mama, who hasn't quite had babies yet, and we get lots of questions about them, and we want to try to answer them. She hears me talking loud now, so as I talk loud, she's moving away. She'll get used to us after a couple of minutes, and then we'll go sit closer. I'll walk in here. If you'll notice, we've got on the floor a type of sawdust that is about 4 to 6 inches thick, to make it more comfortable for her when she's laying down and then when she has a baby. We don't know exactly when the baby will be coming. She hasn't shared that with us. We can ask her today, but we don't know, and also Kari's going to address that quite a bit. So right now I'm going to turn it over to Kari to talk about herself and what she knows about Annabelle.
Yeah. Thanks, Jack, and thanks for having me. This is just an amazing experience with Annabelle. And it's so great to meet her in person after seeing and processing hundreds of fecal samples for her, which is an honor to meet her in person. So I'm a reproductive physiologist and endocrinologist. So what I do is I specialize in reproduction and reproductive health for the lifetime of the animal. So from when they hit the ground as a baby and monitoring for puberty, their reproductive cycles, and everything that goes with that. So I had the honor of working with Annabelle to really, number one is just to confirm pregnancy. And from that, so a giraffe's reproductive cycle, so like humans, the reproductive cycle is 28 days. For giraffes, it's about 15 to 16 days. So every month they cycle 2 times, so two possibilities of pregnancy. And so I received her fecal samples and was able to tell that her concentrations of her pregnancy hormone, progesterone, was about 20-fold higher than they would be if she was just cycling normal. And so that, matched with some physical signs, really helped me to confirm her pregnancy. I do this. It's not only about poop, right? So that's how I was able to confirm her pregnancy. And Jack has been sending me fecal samples, 2 to 3 fecal samples a week, so I can just ensure that her hormones are at a high level. So interestingly, because we're really trying to add science to the conservation of giraffes. So there's a lot of pieces of science, and we're really trying to come as a community together. And so part of my research was to be able to better predict parturition, which we all watch the cameras, anxiously waiting for that calf to drop. So as science goes, sometimes we have animals that don't fit the science. So my research science has shown that their hormones actually drop right with like 3 to 10 days before she gives birth. Hence me giving that predicted parturition date. So she has defied the science and has exceeded that, but that's actually quite normal for giraffes. So they hide their pregnancies very well. Gestation is about 450 days, plus or minus 30. So you can see that window is why there's such discrepancy of how long. So the best way to really predict when they're gonna have a calf is if you monitor their reproductive cycles before they get pregnant, and then you can really pinpoint within days of when they become pregnant, and then you count from there. A lot of times we don't have that level of information. We start monitoring after we think they're pregnant. And so really using the science to monitor her long term, like now and going into the future. So when is she due? That is the $1 million question. I say any minute, and I've said that, a week ago as well, and my prediction doesn't change. Her abdomen is riding really low. So I'm looking at her teats or her mammary glands. Typically, they don't have that characteristic filling that you see in other species. So that's not a good prediction either. They will sometimes have a little bit of milk within 24 to 48 hours before giving birth. Yesterday, she had just a little bit at the tips, but nothing since, so big question mark again, right? So I also look at signs of Volvo swelling, so from the rear. So poor Jack has had to send me a lot of photos as well from all angles, right, Jack?
It's quite interesting sending out pictures of a Volvo.
But collectively, if more programs and any place that has drafts do this, collectively, we learn more and we just do good by them. Thanks. A pointer, right? Thank you, Annabelle. She always seems to be right on cue. But I also look at body condition. So body condition is a way to look at the relationship of fat and muscle. So that's really important for pregnancy and just overall health of giraffes. And she looks fantastic. So now we're really using the science to have a validated, like, scientific way. So if we say, you know, Jack's giraffe is a 6, what does a 6 mean? And how does that compare to other giraffes? So she looks fantastic. We talk about diet a lot for her. Again, you know, just preparing for a healthy birth. So, you know, I'm predicting tonight because I'm here. That'd be great.
I hope you're right.
Maybe if we say it to the universe, it comes true.
Well, she predicts tonight, but let me be honest. She predicted a lot of nights in the past, and it hadn't happened yet, so we don't know.
We don't know. And luckily, Jack is still kind to me. He hasn't disowned me for being wrong. But that's part of, you know, Jack and Nancy and Texas Safari, like, really being a leader and contributing to the research side of things, because we don't know, which is why we're trying to figure it out. And ultimately, for her health and for giraffes' health everywhere. It'd be helpful if we knew, so we know how to manage her, how long should she be inside, so all of it's helpful.
There's some questions that I get asked a lot, and I'm going to pass them along to Kari to answer. And that is, you'll notice that she's got a little bit of a kink in her neck from some damage that occurred when she was a baby. We don't know exactly when. There's lots of speculation, but really we don't know. The question has been, is she going to be able to take care of her calf? Is she going to be able to be a good mother, clean, and take care of it? And the answer is yes, but I'll let Kari expound on that a little more.
Yeah, sure. So I've been watching her movements a lot because that is a question, and of course it's a concern. We care about all aspects of giraffe care. To me, it's not going to be a concern because, as you can see, she can definitely put her head down. So she can have that ability to reach down to the calf to lick it. So to me, it's not going to be a concern. She has adapted amazingly to her injury, like most animals do. So to me, it's not going to be an issue. It'll be a learning lesson for us, an experience, but she'll be able to manage it just fine. Like she's already been able to manage, you know, getting pregnant and pregnancy. So she's going to do great in that regard.
Another question we've asked is a lot of people that watched earlier today, about 10 o'clock, we did an ultrasound on her. And the ultrasound is hard to do because the calf is so large, it's very difficult to identify any specific parts of the calf. But we did do one, and I'll let Kari tell you about the results of the ultrasound.
Yeah. So ultrasound, again, is adding to the science, matching of hormones with physical signs of actually ultrasound data. To answer these questions, you know, just looking at the health of the calf and predicted parturition, which we all want to know. So typically, late in gestation like this, it's very common you're not going to see distinguished features, and that's because you have a 6-foot calf in there, and it's taking up all of the space, right? So if we see anything, so I saw some tissues, what looked like bone markings by the bright white images, but to distinguish what's what, we're pretty late in gestation to distinguish that. So the next time around, Jack, we talked about this, we're going to do ultrasounds throughout her pregnancy. And, you know, just to monitor throughout. So at about after 100 days of her 450-day pregnancy, that calf's going to go into the uterus quite low, and we'll be able to see that calf. And the cool thing is that calf will still be quite small, but her uterus will be quite large, so we should be able to get a better visual of the actual calf. So that's why ultrasound is tricky, especially if we don't have like ongoing info, but that's why we're doing it. And the coolest thing I think about that experience today is how well she handled that procedure. So if you're watching, we first introduced the ultrasound machine because it's something new. So just be present with her, show her it's safe. And then Jack's been working with her to put some cool wet towel on her the previous weeks so she gets used to like that ultrasound feel. And so again, we're in her space. We want to be respectful for that. And she just did amazing. She let us do that. You know, I don't work with her day in, day out, but it's just, you know, building that trust and that comfortable level. But we're going to continue to do that for her future pregnancies. I know we all want to talk about this one, but I think maybe I'll just talk about like what that looks like. So how long it will be potentially. So typically, after a giraffe has her calf, it will be about 95 to 115 days. Well, she'll have this flat line from her hormones. So basically that's saying her hormones go flat, she's not capable of conceiving.
Kari?
Yeah.
Well, I was just told people are having trouble hearing you.
Okay, I'll yell at you.
How about moving closer to the camera?
There we go.
This is
And
really
speaking
close.
a little louder.
All right. This feels like
I don't think they ever have trouble hearing me. It's you
I'm
that have a
sorry.
little trouble
Yeah.
hearing.
Okay.
So
Sorry.
let's give it a try.
All right. Well, if there's anything that like totally like you want me to repeat, maybe message and I can repeat it. But
Well, we have Kari, people have seen her children walking around, and there are a couple of little children
sure.
here. Here, show over there her children. These are her children, and doesn't she yell louder at y'all sometimes?
I do not. I trained them well. That's Gianna and Scarlett, so they're my assistants.
One question people want to know is how to tell the sex of the baby. Is there
From the ultrasound?
or even is there a way to predict the
What
sex?
do we know from the test you've done with the hormones?
Oh, okay, that.
She has come back and told us that there's a 70% chance that this is a female calf.
Yep.
All right, that's what she can tell from the hormones in the feces that when she tested. And the question is, can you give a brief answer, because we're going to have a lot of other questions of how, because she could go on this for
I'm
hours.
not good at brief, but okay.
Give us a brief answer on how you know that it's going to be a female,
Sure.
or 70% chance of female.
Sure, yep. So this idea stemmed from some research I did with elephants. So what I'm doing is I'm looking at her testosterone levels. Okay, so typically, you know, I'm looking for a different hormone, progesterone. I'm just gonna give you a little science here for her pregnancy. But testosterone is that male hormone, okay? So what I've done is I've compared females that have had male calves to female calves. So those that have the male calves, her testosterone levels will be higher. Hi, sweetheart. And so her testosterone levels are very low. So to me, that's indicating that she'll have a female. Have I been wrong? Yep. But we're working on it. So it's about 70% accurate right now. And we're just, again, this is another way that Texas Safari is contributing to just understanding this. So right now, we say female based on her low testosterone, and we'll see if the science holds up. One of these scientific studies is to hold up for her. But also, a lot of times you have these unpredictable time frames for gestation and new moms.
She's walking toward me because she really likes to stretch. And when I start stretching, she starts walking toward me. Go ahead. I'm not trying to keep you from
Go.
telling. I'm just...
You asked me to talk science, and I can talk all day. So, what I was talking about before too, with like after she has her calf, she'll go into a period of what's called lactational anestrus. So that means while she's nursing her calf, she won't be able to conceive. That'll last about 3 to 4 months, and then likely she'll start to cycle, just picks up like perfect clockwork. She'll cycle 5 to 6 times, and typically that's when she'd get bred again. So that's what I'm testing in her in her hormones, even after. So it's not like done after she gives birth. We're gonna just look for those normal healthy patterns, and again, just learn more. And same thing for JM, right? I thought you were gonna hand me some fecal samples.
So in about 5 or 6 months after the baby's born, she will be able to conceive potentially a new baby. Not that we're going to do it or that she's going to be ready.
Yep.
But technically that would be the timing. Now, with her, we're not sure, because if you think about it, most giraffes have babies after 3-4 years. She is about 9 years old, and this is her first baby. And they did give her some shots at the other place in Alto, Michigan to try to get her to have a baby. Now, we don't know what's going to happen, so we're going to play it by ear, watch it, and monitor, and do what's best for her health. We also have the calf we've got to think about, whether it's a male or a female. We prefer a female, but at the same time, shoot, we'd love to have either one.
Yeah.
So we are going to check it. Now, what she's doing right now, if you look, we put leaves along the fence line. Instead of just pouring it into her, over here into her bucket of food, we put it along the fence line because it's more like what they have in nature, where they have to kind of work for the leaves, where they pick them out of trees and they have to get one at a time instead of a whole bundle in there. So we put them behind the fence, and that way it gives them a little bit of what they call enrichment. Now, if you also look over here, we talked about this once before, this is her scratcher. She loves to scratch. It moves, and she will take her head and scratch on it. And if you look down here, you can actually see hair that is falling off after she's played with it and after she does it. There's another one on the other side for the JM, and a bigger one than this. But now you might be able to see her do it. There you go. Now you see how she does this.
That was good timing, Jack. How'd you do that?
I just told her. We trained. We did this a little bit before. We practiced for an hour before, you know. Yeah, and if you believe that. All right. Well, you see her tongue also. Her tongue does not go out as far as most giraffe tongues, and we think that has a direct relationship to the damage that was done to her vertebrae. And I guess some of the other things that we need to address or would like to address, any questions you might have about her or about JM. He's outside right now. I don't know if you can see him. He decided he didn't want to come in for the show. He's on union wages right now, so he hasn't come in.
I will mention for JM, we're also monitoring his hormones. So looking at testosterone in him. Even louder. So what I've noticed, so since Annabelle arrived, so we looked at his testosterone levels before she got here, and they were pretty low, which is normal if there's not a female around. The minute Annabelle got here, his testosterone went high to the range, which is like that breeding active, reproductively healthy levels. So continuing to monitor him, his testosterone levels, his stress levels, so I look at cortisol as well. So sometimes cortisol has a bad rep as that stress hormone, but there's actually positive things in court too. But her levels are nice and stable and low, indicating no complications from the pregnancy. She seems very comfortable. But again, just more info we have, the better we can serve her. And so when the calf drops, when Chorus is going through active labor, we're gonna see a spike in cortisol, right? That is expected. But what I'm looking for then is that it goes back down, which means she's settling into life as a mom. And we're gonna monitor the baby the minute she arrives.
Now, one of the questions that came back up again, my daughter is off camera and she's telling me my wife and daughter, Nancy and Chase, you'll see their names occasionally. They're giving me, telling me what I need to do, just like they do in real life. And the question was, is she going to be able to lick and clean herself and everything else? And as was told to you by Kari, she adapts very well. And yes, she will get along. She may not do it exactly like another giraffe would do it, but she will have no problem and it will be okay. You see her eating the leaves. She loves those leaves.
They also want to know how long, you'll have to keep her and the baby together, or will they be, secluded once the baby's born? Kind of what that process is.
Sure. Here you, Jack. Can we take this one?
Either way, we've talked about this a lot. And I'm going by what Kari has suggested. She's the expert. I'm definitely not. I'm learning a lot all the time. But what we have been told, and Kari's here to address it in more detail, is that for a minimum of 1 week, we will leave her in this stall with the baby. If you look closely at the way our barn was constructed, This is what we call the birthing room. And this birthing room is a larger room, gives her more ability to move around, and at the same time, whoops, she's walking through in the birthing room, and she will move around. And for 1 week, that gives her a lot of flexibility to the baby, and she's going to want to protect the baby. She's going to want to make sure there's not anything bothering the baby. The males historically are more aggressive. They're not going to cause problems, but they are more aggressive, and they want to get used to it. He is going to be 2 stalls over. He will not be able to touch or get close to the mama or to the baby. He'll be in the second stall over there. There's a total of 3 stalls in our barn. Then after about a week of him watching them, we will let him move into the middle stall, or we may let her move into the middle stall and move back and forth. And if we do that so that they can start being real close to each other, and that will go on for about another week too, and during that time, he will go in and out as you see the doors. She will not. She will stay in the barn pretty much exclusively for about 10 days to 2 weeks. Once we're comfortable, and we got to kind of play this by ear, once we're kind of comfortable with, she's hungry, it's her barn, so she moves where she wants to. And she's checking out where there's more leaves. Where after about 2 weeks, then we'll put them together. We will watch very closely. There is also area outside, and we are fixing the area outside where there is literally 2 separate areas. So at first, she will go into one area with her baby by herself. Then he will be in a separate area outside where he can't get to her, but he will be right up to the fence next to her if he wants to be. And after that's gone on for a little bit of time, we will then let them get together. Yep. How long that'll take, I don't know. But I would guess that we're looking at 3 weeks or somewhere in that vicinity.
And so part of that process, when they finally do have that time together, we'll do that introduction in just short intervals. So 15, 20 minutes with all 3, just to get the smells and initial time, and then separate again. So just really watching the individual's behavior. Everything is based on, there's not a textbook answer. We're really gonna watch them, see how they're doing, see how they're interacting, and that's the best we can do by them. But it's also really important to have that time with mom and calf at the beginning to really promote nursing. So nursing is really important for giraffes, for any species, but it's really important we give them the space and they feel safe and secure to do that. That just really helps with the long-term health of the calf. So saying that, you might see a lot of hands-off approach when she starts giving birth. And because, she knows what to do. And we've learned that kind of the less is best approach. And that's hard to do, right? We want to be in here, we want to be doing all of that initially, but giving her time to do that. And after the calf drops, it sometimes is alarming to see, she probably isn't going to go right up to it. And that's also very normal. So she could be standoffish for a while, but in time she'll go over, and she might not lick the calf a lot initially. She may or may not, but her going back and forth to the calf is very normal. She may step away for a significant amount of time. It's also very normal for a calf not to nurse for long periods of time. So they can get the colostrum and that good milk in very, very short increments. So the calf will nurse often initially, but for a very, very short amount of time.
So the very short time, what I have read and what you've told me, is actually seconds, not minutes. It'll be seconds. She may only nurse for 3 or 4 seconds. And that's okay. She's getting what she needs.
Yep.
Now, a couple other questions that were asked of us is, what do we intend to do with the calf? Are we keeping them? Are we selling them? What are we doing? And the answer is, we are breeding these to keep. We intend to have a much larger herd of giraffes. We have a lot of land here. There's 1,000 acres, although we're not dedicating all of it to the giraffes. We have plenty of land for giraffes, much bigger than you would see at any zoo. And Kari has driven around and looked at our facility, and we can talk about that in a second briefly. But we intend to keep it. If it is a female, we will always keep it. If it's a male, we will keep it until the male and JM start arguing. When they start arguing, we have to be very careful of what we do because giraffes have a tendency to hurt each other very badly, even to the point of killing each other. So we'll have to monitor that. Now I would like for you, the director here, Van, come on over here, Donovan. We have had hundreds of questions about the water. This is the water trough. It's a continuous flow water trough. You can see it's got real fresh water. It's got a float in it, but they like it. They drink their water out of it. And that's why you'll see water on the ground. They're messy. And you'll see the water laying on the ground a lot of times from where they splash it out. But there is continuous flow of water here. Now, changing the subject just a little bit about Texas Safari, because that's what we're here, and we are open to people who rent houses and stay. Kari's had the opportunity. She came in yesterday. She's leaving tomorrow. We'd love to have her longer, but unfortunately she's got to go pick on some elephants in another area. And the elephants are a lot bigger than we are. But she's had a chance to drive around, and I think she can maybe tell you that it's a little different and a little more than just the giraffes.
Yeah, it took me by surprise of course, because I've been involved with the giraffes here. So it's really get the experience and to see it firsthand, just the beautiful land itself and all of the animals, not just giraffes. I was just taken aback at its beauty and its just natural feeling. I'm just honored to be here, right? To be invited and just to have that experience. It's just beautiful. And again, I was just close to the giraffes and I saw on their website the safari part, but I just was in awe of how beautiful it is.
We've got about 35 different species. We've got 700 animals, and she will tell you, we have people who have asked us, is there any hunting here? And the answer is absolutely not. There is no hunting at all. And you can obviously tell when you see the animals, and here she is drinking. You can see how she drinks out of there. Well, she drank a little bit. But there is no hunting, and we are not interested in doing any hunting here. This is a breeding ranch. We sell animals to other ranches and to zoos and other places because we have some animals, some of them very unique, like the Anoa, A-O-N-A, which is a dwarf or miniature buffalo from Indonesia. It's only 3 feet tall at its full size. They are mean little devils too. But we have a lot of different unique animals. Sable, Dama gazelles, scimitar oryx, animals that are extinct in the wild, Pierre Davids from China. But we'd love to have people come and visit. During the week is a lot better time to come. So if you, because it's not crowded during the week.
And the houses are just meticulous and beautiful. It's just comfortable and you just have space too. So it's just, I don't want to share it too much because I want to have my house when I visit. I don't want it to be booked up 2 years out. But yeah, you should visit. It's nice. And for your kids too. So nothing, just amazing. And a lot of baby animals. And of course, all my questions when we go around is about all the breeding. Sorry, Jack.
There's a lot of that.
There's a lot of that.
We saw baby buffalo yesterday that had just been born.
Yeah.
We walk around, she'd just been born.
Yeah.
And it was good to see. And we have a baby, unfortunately, we have a baby Grevy zebra, which is rare. There's almost no Grevy zebra in the wild. And we have Grevy zebra, and we have a baby Grevy zebra, and unfortunately, 3 months ago he was born, and a couple of days ago his mother just died. We found her just gone. We don't know why, can't figure it out, but she's gone. No damage to her, she just died. But we are glad to have all the animals here, and we have 3 full-time employees. These are 3 great people. They love the animals, and y'all have seen them on TV if you look at them and watch them. It's Juan Luis, and Leo. All 3 of them do a great job. They're very much care, and if you ever talk to anybody here, they've been here for a number of years. Luis is the ranch manager, and they know what to do. They take care of these animals, and you'll see them up here all day, every day, and even on the weekend. They just work, and they do a good job.
Work and are truly interested, like asking questions about Annabelle and what they should be looking for. So it's like
Yeah, they're good.
they're so good. Yeah, collect all the fecal samples.
Oops, I got
can ask
another
for.
question somebody's asked me.
Was the ultrasound informative today?
So one thing too, so Annabelle, they're allowing her to go out and then back in, and that's because they also are confident.
They're
can
having
make
a
it back
question,
in.
did the ultrasound tell you anything?
It told me that there's really nice tissue, fetal tissue, and some bone structure, but I couldn't make out which bone it was. So the good news is she doesn't have bones in that part of her abdomen, so it's fetal tissue, but I couldn't make out distinguished features. We also didn't want to push her on time since she's new to the ultrasound procedure. We're going to repeat it again before I leave, and we talked about sharing images if they turn out. But yeah.
Shine. Well, here we go. Go in here.
Yeah.
Now I'm doing something I'm not supposed to do. This is my supervisor. This is Nancy. She is the supervisor, and
Hello, goodbye.
she is in charge of everything, and she just doesn't like to talk to people.
Okay. Hello.
But she has a way with Annabelle. So she was
Oh,
able
yeah.
to stand with Annabelle, which was part of why we were able to be successful with the ultrasound. So,
Annabelle will follow her all around.
yes, fantastic. We were talking about a little bit how we've been allowing her still to go out, which is important. We want her to have exercise yet, and they're confident that, everybody's keeping an eye on her. So if we see that first hoof, feel confident about bringing her in. So again, we talked about that, just for her, having that exercise and that mental stimulation was important.
I guess right now we don't want to take up everybody's time. Is there any additional questions? I'd like for you, if you would please, Donovan, we have the people over here that are taking the questions.
Yeah.
They're sitting on the stairs, and that's Chase and my Nancy, my daughter, and they are being supervised by the two children that are in charge of everything, Scarlett and Gianna. They're telling us everything. But is there any additional questions we have that we need to answer?
I think we wanted to wish everybody a happy Mother's Day, especially my mom, and then also you.
Aw, thanks,
You're wonderful. We appreciate everything that you do.
Absolutely.
Great Mother's Day to everyone.
Yeah.
Including, we hope, wouldn't it be great to have Annabelle have a baby on Mother's Day?
That would be awesome.
It would be nice.
So far she hadn't cooperated, but we would like that.
And just a shout out, to Texas Safari for, when I met Jack and Nancy too, they just said yes to collecting as much info we could to help their animals, but giraffes everywhere. And that's huge. That's a commitment that we'd like other places to do as well. So thank you, Jack.
Thank you very much.
Hey,
And
Jack, one
Kari's
other
an expert.
How did you and Kari, how did we meet Kari?
How did we meet Kari? I think I did some research, and I was doing some research, and I made a couple of calls, and I looked on the internet, and I wanted to find, because we didn't know anything about giraffes at all. Nancy and I were very much interested, but we had no knowledge at all. And so I did research, and I wanted to find the best expert in the United States concerning giraffes. Now, she didn't tell you this, but she, in addition to her education, which is the resume is about 100 pages long, she is also the chair of the what's that committee called?
For the zoos, you mean?
Yes, for
Yep.
zoos.
So-
That's the zoos throughout the United States.
Yep, so for the zoos, it's called the Association of Zoos and Aquarium. So that governs all zoos in North America. And there's Reproduction and Endocrinology Scientific Advisory Group. That's a mouthful. And so I'm the chair for that group. And again, and that's all species. And we're just really trying to lead using science as a community, not for just zoos, but for any place that has animals. Because at the end of the day, we care. We
Yes.
don't, yeah.
Well,
so.
when it came to the giraffe, though, when we were acquiring Annabelle, we were told she had never been pregnant, and they didn't know if she would ever be pregnant. So we wanted to talk to someone who is the best at it, who could tell us if she's pregnant. Look over here. This is the ranch manager who just came in. And he, like I said, he's here all the time. And he's the one I talked about a little while ago about how great they do.
I think too, Jack, you give me a little bit too much credit. I know
No.
a lot, but I'm still learning a lot. So I always say thank you for bearing with me, as that's why we do this, right? But the more we learn, the more we try, the more we contribute. So, and I have a lot of colleagues I reach out to, right? But it's everything. So pregnancy is everything. It's feeding, it's exhibit, it's enrichment. And like Jack knows, I talk about all of it because it all matters for her health now, for her calf, for JM. So that's what we try to do.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Unless there's another question that Chase or Nancy gives us.
They were easy on
Whoop,
us.
they're coming back.
There is one.
One more question.
There's one more. Well, so this was posted before too. I don't know if it'll be something you know, but why are there more males born into captivity than females?
Why are there more male giraffes born in captivity
Yes, and
than
I'm not sure
females?
of any stats behind that.
That's
Somebody-
we're gonna let I'm gonna let Kari answer that one.
Yeah,
I
sure.
think that's a good idea.
Yeah. Now, I wish there was a definitive answer. Like, everybody's sick of me saying I don't know, but we don't know for sure. But it likely has to do with some plane of nutrition and really good body condition and health status sometimes results in more male calves. Maybe not, maybe it's genetics or who knows. But, so we don't know is the short answer of that, which isn't very helpful. But what we do know is we're trying to figure that out. So
Drink your water.
the more we know, the more we know. And one thing too with giraffes in good care, so like if you read or Google when can a giraffe be capable of pregnancy or puberty, you'll see like 4 to 7. Well, there are many giraffes that I've worked with that are capable of pregnancy at age 1, age 2. So that's why it's important to monitor as soon as possible, because you don't know. And we think that also has to do with if you have a healthy level of body fat and nutrition, likely you're gonna cycle earlier. So now is that what's happening in giraffes in good care? Maybe we see it in elephants as well. But again, that's what we're trying to figure out. Same thing with males, they're likely reaching reproductive maturity earlier in a managed environment. So yeah, are they capable of impregnating a female at age 2? Yep, seen it happen. So again, we're just adding to what we know of science and just, again, challenging the classic textbook, adding to it. Again, focusing on individuals, but contributing to the general good.
Thank you to everyone. We appreciate
Yeah,
you
thank
watching. And we hope that we've been informative, and we wish we could tell you that when the baby's going to be born and if it's going to be a male or female. But stay tuned, and let's hope for the best. And let's hope we'll get one tonight on Mother's Day.
Let's hope.
Thank y'all.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Appreciate it.